Good day everyone. So first off, I'm gonna be introducing myself first. My name is Jasmine A. Baliling, a first-year Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English, Section A, at Pangasinan State University, Lingayen Campus. So in this video, I'm gonna be discussing about Lev Vygotsky's scaffolding. But first off, syempre, we need to know first who is Lev Vygotsky. Okay, so Lev Vygotsky was born in Russia in 1896. He was a seminal Russian psychologist and he is best known for his socio-cultural theory, the theory in which we will discuss further later. So due to his early death, most of his theories were left undeveloped. So the work of Lev Vygotsky in 1934 has become the foundation of much research and theory in cognitive development over the past several decades. It is particularly of what has become known as sociocultural theory. Okay, so moving on, Lev Vygotsky's scaffolding is also known as theory of development. So as we can see here, social interaction was emphasized. It is because Lev Vygotsky believed that social interaction plays a vital role in the development of the cognitive aspect of the children. So one thing to remember is that all the aspects of this theory are centered around the idea of development happens through our social interaction, our social connection. So try to think about this. When we were born, we interact with our parents. They are the one who guided us in the beginning, and then we make friends. They further guide us, and in school, as we have our teachers, and right after that, we get a job where we have our trainers or bosses. If you think about it, we really have been guided since birth through social connections. Okay. So it is also stated here that social interaction affects the learning process. It creates consciousness and awareness. And Lev Vygotsky also believes that social interactions helps individual both discover and create meaning. In relation to this are the major theme or the four major aspects of this theory which our discussion will be focused on. So these are the language, more knowledgeable other or MKO, scaffolding, and last is the zone of proximal development or the ZPD. So let's start with the language. So here, Vygotsky believed that language develops from social interactions for communication purposes. Vygotsky viewed language as man's greatest tool, a means for communicating with the outside world. So, language is a central role in mental development according to Lev Vygotsky. It is also a tool not only to communicate with other people, but also a tool to learn from other people. So, Vygotsky in 1987 differentiates between three forms of language. It is the social speech, which is external communication used to talk to others, the private speech, which is directed to the self and serves as an intellectual function, and last is the silent inner speech, goes underground, diminishing in audibility as it takes on a self-regulating function and is transformed into silent inner speech. Okay, so moving on, we have the more knowledgeable other or the MKO. So MKO is defined as anyone who has a better understanding or a higher ability level than the learner, particularly in regards to specific tasks, concept, or process. So in here, we have a person who has skills and knowledge that we don't have, and someone who would guide our development, or like the one who teaches and guide us into learning something new. And this includes parents, friends, teachers, relatives, and our bosses, like what I have talked about earlier. The next one is scaffolding. So some of you may have heard of it like a term that used that applies to big buildings, remodels, and renovations. But as we dig into Lev Vygotsky's scaffolding, you'll understand that the scaffolding has to do with child development. Vygotsky defined scaffolding instruction as the role of teachers and others in supporting the learner's development and providing support structures to get to that next stage or level. So it is basically like on how workers or the one who works in a building use scaffolding or platforms that would stand on in order to work on a higher building. In the same way, we would use more knowledgeable others as a scaffolding. In other words, we can only learn a certain amount according to Vygotsky, but then by using the more knowledgeable other, we can raise up our abilities to a higher level until such time na we can perform a certain tasks independently. So the MKO adjusts the level of guidance in order to fit the student's current level of performance. In relation to this, again, is the zone of proximal development. So it is defined as the space between what a learner can do without assistance and what a learner can do with adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers or the more knowledgeable other. Okay, so let's take a look at the illustration that is given. So yeah, now you have small inner circle, and within that circle are the things that you're capable to do without more knowledgeable others. And the central circle around the inner one are things that you can do that requires you to have some help. And the outer and larger circle are just the things that are just beyond your ability to learn, even if you had help. Okay, so if you can now notice, basically, the more knowledgeable other provided scaffolding or a platform for you to learn the things within that middle area of the circle, where the area contains the things that you can do with MKO. Okay, so in this zone of proximal development, as we learn something, we can pass through these circles. So here basically or particularly the concept of zone of proximal development underscores Vygotsky's conviction that social influences, particularly getting instructions from someone, are of immense importance on the cognitive development of the children. There must always be a guide from other people for us to develop our cognitive aspects. Okay, so stated here is the connection between scaffolding, the more knowledgeable other, and the zone of proximal development. So, when scaffolding, more knowledgeable other or MKO becomes a supportive tool for the students in the zone of proximal development. Before I end this presentation, I just want to share some things on how can we practically apply Vygotsky's theory to our everyday classroom. So yeah, we have physical arrangement in the classroom, scaffolding strategies, reciprocal strategies, and lesson content. And yes, these are my references. So yeah, again, my name is Jasmine Ibeliling, done reporting Vygotsky's scaffolding.